Hi, I'm Hannah Smith, and I'd like to submit my idea for the WWF selection. It's a rat trap compost bin. I started thinking about this a few years ago. I was having issues with my compost pile, and I'd had an array of traps set up around it, but wasn't catching anything. So I spoke to the rat trap manufacturers, and they said that any rat trap that you have set up around a compost pile will hardly ever catch a rat, because rats will always choose compost over any bait you might like to put in your trap. So I decided to make a compost bin that was a rat trap. This means that the compost becomes the bait and then the rat becomes the compost, which is killing two rats with one stone, if you like. So I've gone through a number of iterations of this unit, and the one I'm using at the moment is working really well and is catching rats. Is made from an upcycled washing machine drum, and over the last few months I've been collecting washing machine drums, and I've got 7 sitting in my garage. If I won the prize money of this competition, I would turn those 7 drums into working units and put them out for field trials, and then as a result of any information we got back from those field trials, do some design tweaks, and at the end of that process I would set up an educational project which involves taking washing machine drums and the various bits and pieces that you need to make these units round to schools, and getting the kids to build their own units. This process would involve teaching them about composting and waste reduction. It would be teaching them about pest control and how they can help, and it would result in them taking home a cheap unit to make compost at home. Each of the units is associated with a raised garden made out of tyres, and you'll be able to see how the whole thing works in the following video. Thank you. Okay, so once I've got the bin out of the washing machine, I chuck a couple of ends on it, put a spindle down the middle, it's actually a waratah, and a handle on the end. This has got a section cut out, that's where the compost goes. So check that in. Give it a spin. This allows the compost to aerate and also get blended, which makes a good compost. And essentially that's the end of the compost side of the bin. I'll take you around the side and show you the rat trap side of it now. Okay, so here we are. Right, essentially rats from the area smell the kitchen scraps and come explore this unit. Eventually they'll find the hole at the top, which allows them to get into the compost. They'll have a scrounge around and have a lovely feed, and then when they decide it's time to leave, there's a much more accessible exit point lower down, and that's this one here, and that is associated with a pressure point rat trap. So I will make this stick a pretend rat. So essentially a rat comes through here, sets off the trap, and the next morning when you come out to put your compost, you see the trap's been set. You release the trap, turn the unit, the rat falls into the compost, you reset it, and the trap's ready to go for the next rat. Now your rat's sitting in the compost. If you've got some other compost in there, it's time to put it all into these lower bins. This is a 2 tire height raised garden bed with a lid on it. So you rotate the unit round until it's above it, empty the compost into these bins, and so the rat sits there in its bed of compost and slowly breaks down, which makes for excellent garden nutrients for when you're ready to plant these raised beds. Okay, so here are a couple of tyres I filled previously using this unit. There are a couple of rats in here, but they're tucked up nicely in their bed of compost. I just put some soil over top, and this was filled to the brim, and it's slowly sinking down. Eventually each of these raised beds will just be one tyre high, and this is almost ready for planting out, and that's pretty much the whole process.